Every gas mask is only as good as the filter you use it with. In this video we'll explain how filters work, what types exist, how they're meant to be used, and which filters should be avoided entirely. Hang on, let me put on something tactical to increase my authority stat. First things first. Filters are disposable cartridges used to clean the air you inhale. Obviously, to provide protection against vapors, chemical substances and toxic gases, CBRN filters are filled with activated carbon, which has the ability to physically trap molecules of certain chemicals. Due to the nature of how activated carbon works, all filters have a limited lifespan. That's why manufacturers specify a shelf life on the label, which typically ranges from 10 to 20 years, depending on the manufacturer. Although particle filters don't contain activated carbon, they also have defined lifespan. Over time they become clogged with captured particles, which manifests as increased breathing resistance. Keep in mind that particle filters do not protect against gases or vapors, so they generally cannot be considered a viable option for protection against the whole spectrum of CBRN threats. As a rule of thumb, do not remove new filters from their sealed packaging unnecessarily, as doing so may drastically reduce their lifespan. Once the surface area of the activated carbon becomes saturated, it can no longer bind molecules and loses its protective properties. To prepare a filter for use, first remove both the inlet and outlet caps. Many people forget about the bottom cap and then wonder why they can't breathe with the mask on. Standard CBRN filters, commonly known as 40mm filters, connect to a gas mask by screwing their threaded neck into the mask's filter port. It's one of the best systems ever developed, has been around for decades and isn't going anywhere anytime soon. When installing a filter, make sure to tighten it properly but gently without using excessive force. Now the threads on these two filters might look identical at first glance, but they're not. Both share the same 40mm diameter, however, NATO and Soviet/Russian GOST threads use different thread pitches, making them incompatible. So what does this mean in practice? If you try to screw a NATO filter into a Soviet mask, it will catch partially and then jam. The seal won't form properly, and a mask that doesn't seal isn't protecting you. The opposite situation is slightly more complicated. A GOST filter can sometimes be screwed into a NATO mask, however the connection might not be fully airtight. Still, who would use a modern mask with a filter such as this? To put it simply, NATO and GOST threads are not interchangeable. Always use the correct filter for your mask. If you want a more technical breakdown of filters and thread types, we've put together a full in-depth tutorial available on our Ko-fi page. The link is in the description. If you own filters made by Avon Protection, it's worth mentioning that they feature a unique conformal shape designed to fit Avon masks closely. However, they may not fit respirators with different facepiece shapes, so keep that in mind. Avon CBRN filters feature a moisture indicator that turns blue if the filter has been exposed to excessive moisture. If that happens, the filter should be considered unusable. This is a useful feature because the biggest enemy of any gas mask filter is moisture. Once a filter becomes soaked, it should be discarded immediately. Now, what are the general indicators that a filter has reached the end of its service life and needs to be replaced? It's quite simple. You begin to smell environmental odors, something that does not occur when the activated carbon is still unsaturated. That's it. You're welcome. To preserve a filter that has already been removed from its sealed packaging, always store it with both the inlet and outlet caps installed and ideally inside a Ziploc bag. Avon filters come with practical storage cases, which make storage much easier. Here's a DIY approach. The filter has already been opened, but it was later sealed in a plastic bag using a vacuum sealer. It's not quite as good as the original factory packaging, but it does a decent job of extending the filter's lifespan. I know it might be tempting to use your gas mask with two filters, but please don't. In some cases, installing two filters may completely disrupt the mask's internal airflow and prevent the visor or eyepieces from clearing condensation properly. There are exceptions, of course. Masks such as Scott GSR and Avon FM50 are designed to be used with two filters, but they use a completely different system and their filters are standardized in both weight and dimensions. Personally, I prefer 40mm filters over proprietary systems because of their availability and the wide range of options available. These teardrop-shaped filters, for example, cannot be used with any mask other than GSR, whereas standard 40mm filters are compatible with a wide range of respirators. Speaking of proprietary filters, I strongly advise against using cheek filter masks such as Soviet PBF, Polish MP4, Czechoslovak M10M, or this Chinese abomination that I can't even be bothered to remember the designation of. These masks cannot be paired with modern reliable filters and are best regarded as collector's items. The contaminants a filter can protect against and the level of protection it provides should always be listed on the label. Take this combined CBRN filter from Sigma as an example. Here's a chart explaining what the letters on filter labels mean and which chemicals filters with those designations are designed to protect against. Most military filters don't come with this level of information, and in many cases there is no information at all, which brings us to the topic of surplus filters. Yes, surplus filters are usually cheap, but there's a reason for that. All the filters might, and in many cases do, contain substances you really don't want entering your body, such as asbestos fibers, hexavalent chromium, and a variety of other yummy ingredients. Personally, I wouldn't consider using any filter manufactured before 2010. Some older filters also use completely different thread dimensions like this one from the 1930s, making it incompatible with modern masks, which in this case it's a good thing. As you can see, I have quite a collection of potential carcinogens here. Many of you have asked whether CBRN filters can be used during fires, and the answer is no. First, masks made from bromobutyl rubber are extremely sensitive to high temperatures compared to respirators specifically designed for firefighting. Second, activated carbon filters do not filter carbon monoxide and must never be used in oxygen-deficient environments or in any environment where the oxygen level is unknown. The bottom line is simple. If you're serious about personal CBRN protection, always use a new reliable filter. Ideally, keep it in its vacuum-sealed packaging and only open it in case of a genuine emergency. My recommendation is to have 2 sealed filters in reserve and 1 already opened for training purposes. And when I say filters, I mean products from reputable manufacturers such as Sigma or Avon, not some cheap, no-name imports from Alibaba or AliExpress. If you have any questions about gas mask filters, feel free to leave them in the comment section. And if you're interested in more technical information, you can get our comprehensive tutorial on coffee. Stay safe, and I'll see you next time on CBRN Academy.